mentioned about deja vus and memories, right? This is one question I've very commonly had during all those discussions all this while. Is that how do you know that whatever story or whatever facts that came to you were real? They were not a fraction of your imagination, or you were not making stories. So how do you know that you want to trust what you found out? So
Right.
in my case, I was asked that how sure are you that this is the right story of you?
Right. And then the therapist didn't plant it into your mind. Right. So yeah, I mean, I would ask you the same question, that why did that story only came up to you? Why the same person, why the same place came up to you when you went into your regression?
Good question. I don't have any answer for that.
The reason being, while you're taken into the regression, you're taken into a very safe place within yourself that connects you to the memory that is creating your present life situation. So
Right.
only and only that is something stored in your within will reflect as images.
Right.
So now to validate that, if that was exactly why uh, you know it was your own memory, that your own experience of that life. What happens is that after coming from that experience, um, the person starts feeling or seeing himself or herself in more clarity, or with more clarity, that why he or she is behaving in a certain manner in a certain situation. Probably these situations the person has felt extremely guilty about, because of behaving in a certain manner, because of acting out, or because of panicking in those moments. So, and when they go and see those parts of themselves or experience that they've stored in that point of time, where they actually creating the present moment, uh, they are able to forgive themselves. They don't feel guilty about why they're behaving in a certain way, because now they know that this is what happened and this is what I stored. So first thing is forgiving themselves. It's very sometimes in life, you are able to forgive others, but it is difficult to forgive your own self somewhere.
True.
So the first thing is that you're forgiving yourself. One, you also see other people in light, that why they had been the way they had been. So there's more clarity to handling the same situation.
Right.
Apart from all of that, what happens is that when you're visiting that life, you kind of able to connect with the kind of person you are in this life. So example, if you were a king in a certain lifetime, and you suddenly start relating yourself in the way you're behaving in this life, the kind of things that you choose, even if you're not having that kind of a lavish life, you kind of know, you relate to the character of that time and how you're behaving in this in the present life. So
Right.
you kind of have this instant connection, like so many films, but I would give that example so that we can kind of easily understand that how past life connects with the present life. So there was this recent film with what was the film's name, wherein Rabata
What is the story?
Rabta
Rabta, yes.
Kirti.
Sushant Singh Rajput and Kriti Sanon.
Yeah. So there was this film called Rabta, with Kirti Sanon and Sushant Singh Rajput. Now the girl visits a certain place, and she starts behaving in a certain way, and she feels like I've not learned fighting, I've not learned how to hold breath under the water, and how do I know all of this?
Yes.
And then suddenly, she has this realization. She has a deja vu with a person that she was connected in the past life, and all of those things. So actually, those are actually the facts that you suddenly start feeling like you many times, and this is so common. And somewhere people also identify with the understanding that you meet a person and you have an instant connection.
Yes.
You meet a person and you feel अपने तो बहुत पुराने ही आ रहे हैं, you're very old friends. Now why things like that happens? It's like you just know that person for so long. You always have that feeling from within,
Right.
and you always keep wondering ki, there is no way we could have met, but it's so wonderful that we met in this life. And the kind of connection that I don't have even that kind of a connection with anybody of my childhood friend. So how did that happen?
Right.
How did that happen? You kind of it's the connection of the past life. People say soul brothers and soul sisters and stuff like that. They are all basically the connections of the past life. These are people who are meant to kind of help you contribute into your life, help you grow. And there are some people kind of give you difficulty and help you grow. But yeah, all of these people that exist in your life, with your immediate family, your friends, your colleagues, your employees, all of them, they somewhere. Yeah, I had one client who had extreme difficulty with one of his employees,
Right.
and he was basically coming to me for some other issues that he was facing while handling his work life. And he had no intention of remembering or recalling that specific guy, but when he visited that life
Hmm.
to resolve that specific issue, that guy was there, and they had conflict. And then he came out as like, oh, now I know why this, however much I try to explain to this guy, why is he not able to understand, because there's something coming from that life. And now I know how I'm going to handle him, because I handled him in the previous life. So he actually realized that what is it that he's supposed to do in this life to make his employee work for him. So it
Right.
was not that he was not loyal to him or anything, but somewhere something didn't match between them, and he was always shouting, and he would always regret after that, that why I'm doing this with him. And then he realized that what is it that I want to do. So you somewhere find solutions like that, in a place like this. So yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
So, just for the fun of it, to share that whenever I had all these discussions, one common question I was asked was that if both of us were related in that particular life, so if I also go into regression, I will see the same story, right? And I would go
Mm-hmm.
like, going into regression is like going into a completely different unknown city. And would you be able to step out of the station or the airport in that city without having any kind of address, be it a hotel, be it a relative, be it anything? You need some address to be able to step out of the airport, right? So when what you visit during your regression is that address. So, the problem that you're trying to find out, the solution or the question you're trying to get answers to, is the address you will have when you step out of the airport.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's such a logical way of looking at a situation wherein the subconscious doesn't operate on logic.
right,
Subconscious operates on what is told,
right,
what was experienced.
right,
So, to answer to your question, I would say that when you're going into the regression, it could be something that is 10,000 years back, where there was no airport, there was no station.
right.
How are you going to visit that? So I would like to mention, it's more like a time traveling. There was this film called Time Travel. There is a Hindi version to it called Action Replay with Akshay Kumar and Shri
Yes,
Rai.
yes.
And in that film, like there's this child who sits into the time machine. He learns how to operate it, and then he visits his past, and it changes something about his parents' life by
Hmm.
visiting his past. And he sees that there is a complete shift of 180 degrees in his present life when he's back into his present moment. So that's the kind of thing that happens. Whatever that the that the child's parent had lived
Mm.
is what he sees.
Right.
Whatever they had experienced at that time that made them what they were today is what he's going to explore. So it's a
Right.
similar experience, whatever you felt, you smelt, you experienced, the kind of emotions that you felt at that time, the kind of place and the way you saw it. Like,
Mm.
example, there was something, you saw it as, red, because from wherever you were sitting, that thing shone or was shining like a red color.
Mm.
You would see it as red, but if, example, somebody else visits that life, not even necessary that, if you both were in the same life, in the same moment, exam, not necessarily that person would visit the same moment, because that same moment which is important for you was not important for that person to keep stored in the subconscious.
Right.
So the part that we are visiting in the past life is something that is triggering your present life,
Right.
and it could be anything. So possibly something that is triggering that person who was part of your past life, uh, and whatever the reason that that person is going into the past, his regression or her regression may not be the same trigger.
Right.
So we are visiting the trigger point that is causing the present situation difficult. So if
Right.
that could, for him, it could be the different situation in the same life where you were together, or it could
Right.
be absolutely different life where you did not exist
Right.
with that person.
Right.
So it's not about, giving yourself that kind of a, auto suggestion that, she went to this life, so I will go to the same life. It will not serve you.
Right.
It's about going into the recreation complete open mind, that whatever is not working for me in the present life, I'm going to let go. And with all of that, wherever and whichever life I need to visit, I want to visit and, heal that part of myself. It's about that.
Right.
So there's no logic, when it comes to, healing, when it comes to regression, and when there is no logic is where the magic is.
True. Absolutely. Logic and magic don't coexist.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
coexist. So the next questions, I think we have in different parts. We have touched these answers here and there in multiple ways. But yes, before a person chooses to go into regression, what are the certain things the person needs to uh, be aware of to know what kind of mindset they need to have before choosing regression? Like one thing you said is the person needs to be completely open without any sense of requirement of logic, right? So what is the mindset basically a person should have before they
Right.
choose to go into regression?
So I've kind of, dropped it somewhere in the previous conversation here and there, but let's sum it up.
Sum it up. Yeah.
One is that the person is usually directed to go for a regression session. So I would say, prepare yourself, if you feel like, by reading certain books on regression, so you know that, how it is going to help you,
Right.
right? Not necessarily it will be the same methodology where, somebody is taking you into the same in the process, because that may not be the methodology that is apt for today's time. Possibly that is not the methodology how you would respond to. So it's like, how the each doctor has their own way of, working for the patient, is where each healer will have their own way of working towards their clients, also
Right.
based on the need of the client.
Right.
Yeah. So don't fix it, come with a fixated idea that, this is exactly, because I read it in that book, is exactly how it should be. Secondly, uh, you should have a strong desire to heal and resolve the present life.
Right.
So the only intention is that, I want to, be a better person by going into regression, resolving that part of my life. So not coming with the idea that, I'll go into the last life, or I'll go to the life that was where, I probably was in the time of, Akbar or Mahatma Gandhi. It doesn't work like
Right.
that. Secondly, you know just need to surrender and let go of the process in the process. Whatever the process is, the more relaxed you are, the more open you are, the better and the powerful the regression session. Asha, some people, who take a multiple regression session, so with that, the benefit is that, they better in each regression because they're more trusting, because, they know that the earlier regression session changed a lot about them, in their life. So they're more trusting, they more believe, they more explore, in that time. Secondly, not anything and everything that is going to come as a vision when you're in the regression. If you've stored a certain memory as as hearing, because in the regression all your senses are active.
Right.
You're experiencing everything through your senses in the subtle place. So something that you stored as a hearing memory, it'll reflect as the voice of the person.
Right.
Or something that you experience, you stored as a vision, then it'll come as a vision. Something you stored as an experience, you will see nothing and yet you will see everything
Right.
through your emotions.
Right.
And um, with all of that, I believe, um, ready to heal, ready to forgive yourself and whoever who was there part of your life, so that that level of karma can be neutralized, that level of issues can be uh, erased completely. So, on the basis of that healing, your current state of life can completely be a new start. So, we are visiting the past so that we can have a new start.
New stuff. True.
So, with that much intention, and then the rest, obviously, when you go to the therapist prepares you for it. So, know it. But ideally, it's the surrender that works beautifully, and open mind that works beautifully while going into the session like this.
Right. So since you've mentioned that not everything has to be visual, the memories, the knowings, the story unfolds to you the way you have stored it. So in my case, people kept on asking me, did you see it like you were watching a movie, or did you see it as if you were in that particular scene, as if you are seeing it yourself, and those kind of questions. And I was like, I didn't like visually see everything. I just know this happened. I didn't see it like a movie. I didn't see it as if I was in that situation in the 2D or the 3D. I just know this happened to me. It's just like it just came to me, simple as that. Yes. So, yeah, that kind of answers my question over here. So, and I'm sure it answers a lot of other viewers also. So, we have understood regression and past life regression and healing in such a vast I won't say belief system, but in such a vast concept. It's such a vast concept that it brings in so much of ease in life in terms of emotional and mental health. Right. So obviously, my next question was, what are the kind of shifts a person can explore, which you have kind of answered in so many different bits and pieces. Like your life becomes easy. You are able to resolve certain typical behaviors. You are able to better so many relationships. You are able to change certain situations. When you're able to deal all these things from a different knowing and different understanding of why exactly that is happening to you. So like so when I know why my daughter is behaving in a certain manner, I'm able to better explain to her. I'm able to better handle her in that particular situation. Whereas if I don't know why she behaving this way, mothers usually go in a frenzy, like with a stick.
Yes.
And the scary and literally the angry goddess kind of look. But yes, when you know the reason why things are happening in a certain way, you are able to handle it in a more aware, more conscious, and more understanding approach.
More balanced.
More balanced. Yes, I was looking for that word. In a more balanced approach, wherein you are not judging the other person, not neither are you judging yourself. And
Yes.
Along with non-judgmental, you are forgiving that person also, and you're forgiving yourself also, because you know where that where all that behavior and all that reasoning and all those drama of emotions is coming from.
The one thing that I would add is that, the entire, however much and however longer we discuss, past life or regression, it's still somewhere, it's still logic. It's still, trying to, ease and please the
Is the
brain
pain,
that,
yeah.
this is something that, So one thing that I would really add towards the end is that this is a completely experiential process and it is
True.
different individual to every person. Mine
Right.
will be different, yours will be different, somebody else who shows up will be different. So you can't define because you are an individual being. Like two people don't even look alike. In the
Right.
same way, the experiences are not going to be same.
Right.
So whatever is working for you and whatever is your experience, just need to go into this place where you're ready to and open to experience yourself on a very different level
Yeah.
and expand yourself
Hmm.
and kind of feel yourself more whole
True.
by rediscovering those parts of yourself so that uh, you can move forward in the future. I think that's the last thing that I want to say, that regression or past life regression is something we're introducing uh, so that the person can move forward in the future.
Right.
That should be the only reason why this process could be used.
The biggest shift they can experience is moving forward in life, across various aspects, not only personally, not only socially, not only professionally, everything, all of it moves forward as one whole unit, which is you.
Exactly.
That is the major shift and the changes. Great. I am sure the entire conversation does simplify the concept of past life regression to all those people who are inclined towards it, but are not sure whether it would be the best thing to do for them or not. And I'm sure a lot of people will have a lot of questions about past life. Even I have so many questions, but I think they are more detailed. So, based on whatever questions come up for on this conversation, in the form of comments, in the form of emails, questions, or whatever, probably we can do a more detailed uh, question and answer session for past life, which goes into smaller parts, smaller intricate parts of the entire process. But yes, I am sure so many people who have questions whether they should go for past life or not will have some sort of clarity about how past life can benefit them, how past life can help them ease out their current situation and their current life.
Yes, that's what we hope for, and I wish that people choose healing to see a different version of themselves, make a better version of themselves.
True,
So
true,
all the
absolutely.
best to all the viewers,
All the viewers,
and
yes.
see you in the next video.
Yeah, see you in the next video. Thank you so much, Nirali, for answering all those questions so beautifully.